Hey, it's Cherise Marie. Have you been shadow banned on Pinterest? Oof, it's so annoying, isn't it? You just can't seem to get and keep reach. Your Pinterest account is probably fairly new because this seems to be a problem that newer accounts are running into rather than older ones. And even though you occasionally have a month where you'll pop up, you slide right back down to almost no reach. So annoying, right? I know that for myself, my business Pinterest account, same problem. It's fairly new and Pinterest seems to be penalizing it. What's going on here? I didn't know for the longest time what the problem was, and now I do, and I'm going to share it with you. Welcome. If you don't know who I am Cherise Marie. I am your priestess of Pinterest, and I talk all things Pinterest and Pinterest related when it comes to building a spiritual or soulpreneur based business. Welcome. So, we need to play nicely in Pinterest's sandbox, but if they don't share the rules with us, it can be really, really hard to actually figure out what they actually want so that we can follow their rules. Because let's be honest here, they don't always tell us exactly what they really want, do they? So the new rule that is an unspoken, unwritten rule that I heard about briefly from someone who is in the know, because she actually, has an in with Pinterest, is that they don't want Pinterest accounts that all the pins point to just 1, 2, or 3 places. They want Pinterest accounts that are interesting and not just fresh pins that all point to the same place, but fresh content that those pins are talking about as well. So what does that mean for us? What that means is where you used to be able to do a fairly large kind of group of pins, push them all out at the same time. You'd have 100, 200 pins all together between the pin templates and the boards, and they would all be pointing at the same place, and you could kind of mix them up a little bit, but not a lot. Now you have to be much more strategic in where and how you are posting. So we used to be able to get away with just mixing them in, shuffling the queue a couple of times and calling it a day. And now you need to be much more specific. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that you want to do, say for example, the way that I teach Pinterest is that you have 10 pin templates and 10 boards to start with. So that could mean that you have 100 pins total that you are sharing out in the world. The way that I used to teach it was that we would let Tailwind handle most of that shuffling. We would just kind of shuffle new pins into the mix and kind of have just a rolling feed that way. The new way that I'm teaching it, starting from about 2 weeks ago, is that instead of doing that, we are now using those 10 pins to 10 boards, and we are using that scheduling button, that interval button at the bottom of Tailwind. So rather than just letting Tailwind figure out when the best times are for various pins, we're now intentionally choosing. So if you have 10 pins to 10 boards, you probably want a 10-day spread so that you're having one of each of these kinds of pins going out every 10 days. So that one pin template that's going to 10 boards, or the one pin that's going to 10 boards, it goes to each board, like one board and then 10 days, and then it goes to the next board and then 10 days and then goes to the next board. So it could conceivably take 100 days to get through all of those boards. And when you do that, and on top of that, you're also staggering. So you have one pin that goes out on day 1, and then the next pin goes out on day 2 and also has a 10-day stagger. And then pin 3 goes out on day 3 and has a 10-day stagger. So that for that URL, we are only having 1 pin per day for that URL. Not just 1 pin, one of that version of pin, but 1 actual pin pointing to that URL each day. So how do you manage that if you don't have a lot of content? Well, in this case, you need to do a lot more third-party pinning, which, as most of you know, I prefer to use Tailwind. They used to be called tribes, now they're called communities. Tailwind communities to find really good quality pins that you know that the links work, you know that the people are still in business, you know that everything is still running in their end because they're still sharing those pins. So, but you also want to interval and schedule those pins as well. So it means that you then are much, much more curated in what pins are going out when, and there is less shuffling of the queue possible. Now, you still want to do just a couple of pins that you really don't care at all. But for the most part, you want to be trying to be much more intentional and much more careful with the pins that you are putting into Pinterest. I know, you're thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. It's not really, okay? It's 1 extra step for each thing. You don't really have to think about it too hard. It's just a case of, you know, adding that little extra interval thing. This won't add a lot of time to your scheduling process. You can still get away with pinning in about an hour a month total. It's just going to require you to do a little bit more planning while you're doing that pin scheduling, as opposed to just one-click dumping and mixing it up a little bit and hoping for the best. So that's Pinterest's new thing. If you've been shadow banned, I hope that you will give this a try. If you are feeling frustrated with Pinterest, reach out to me. I have a Pinterest Secrets course that we are relaunching here right away. It's a little group mastermind that we do. And I believe we're going to be running our next one at the end of March. So if you're interested, hit me up either in the description below. I'm going to have links, or you can hit me up in the comments or message me on Facebook, whatever you want to do, however you want to get a hold of me. I'm around. Aside from that, have a fantastic day wherever you are. Enjoy whatever you got going on, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.